All right, welcome. Today we are diving into something truly incredible, a complete revolution in how we understand and, more importantly, how we treat traumatic brain injury. For so long, the approach has been, well, pretty passive. You just had to wait and hope. But that is all changing right now.
So, let's start with the one question that is driving all of this innovation. What if the damage from a TBI wasn't something you just had to manage for the rest of your life? What if it was something we could actively go in and fix? Well, that question, it's not science fiction anymore. And this slide right here, this shows you the massive shift we're talking about. We are moving from the old standard, basically stabilize the patient and wait to see what the brain can heal on its own, to a completely new one, active neural repair. We're talking about actually intervening, helping the brain to rewire, regrow, and get back online.
Okay, so let's get into part one. It makes sense, right? To fix a problem, you have to be able to see it clearly first. And once you can see it, you can start to bring back one of the most fundamental parts of being human, your voice.
You know, for years, diagnosing a concussion was all about those subjective questions, like how many fingers am I holding up? We are now finally entering an era of objective biological certainty. And believe it or not, it starts with a simple blood test.
So here's how it works. It's actually pretty brilliant. When the brain gets injured, two specific proteins, they're called GFAP and UCHL1, they leak out into your bloodstream. They're basically tiny distress signals from your damaged brain cells. These new handheld devices can spot those proteins in just a few minutes, giving a medic or a coach a clear, objective yes or no right there on the field. No CT scan needed. It is a total game changer.
And that precision, it gets even better. We're tossing out those old, broad labels like mild or severe TBI. Instead, we're using something called the CBI-M framework. It combines all the data, clinical info, those blood biomarkers we just talked about, advanced imaging, and what they call modifiers, which is your personal history. It creates a super specific profile of the injury, so doctors can treat it with the kind of precision they'd use for something like cancer.
Now, having this kind of precision is unlocking some truly mind-blowing breakthroughs in restoring function. Let's look at maybe one of the most powerful examples, giving people back their ability to speak. The technology behind this is called a speech neuroprosthesis. Now, let's be clear, this is not mind reading. It's actually reading the brain's intent to move the muscles of your face, your tongue, your lips, your jaw. It intercepts those motor commands, bypasses the injured part of the brain, and sends them straight to a computer. It's essentially a vocal bypass. And maybe the most incredible example of this comes from the UCSF Chang lab. They've built a system that doesn't just type out words on a screen. No, it generates a voice and it animates a digital avatar with facial expressions. It brings a person's entire communication style back to life. And the speed, it's just wild. The older systems, they can maybe get out 15 words a minute. This new system can translate those brain signals into speech at almost 80 words per minute. That is getting really, really close to the speed of natural conversation. And here's what makes it so deeply personal. First, it creates an actual audible voice. Second, if there are any old recordings of the patient, like from home videos, the AI can clone their original voice, so it actually sounds like them. And, so crucially, it animates the avatar's face to show smiles or frowns, bringing back all those nonverbal cues that are so important to communication. Now, what about less severe injuries, the kind that cause slurred speech or dysarthria? There's an amazing tool for that, too. New apps are using generative AI to basically act as a live translator. Your phone just listens to the slurred speech and instantly plays it back out loud, totally crisp and clear for everyone to understand. But beyond just translating speech, we're now making therapy itself way more effective. This is where something called vagus nerve stimulation comes in. Just think of it like a save button for your brain. So when a patient in therapy makes a sound correctly, a small device sends a little signal up the vagus nerve. That signal tells the brain, hey, release chemicals to strengthen that connection. It basically saves that new neural pathway, and it can double or even triple the speed of rehab. So now we're heading into part two, and this is where things start to feel like they're straight out of science fiction. We're not just talking about working around an injury anymore, we are talking about technologies that physically go in and repair the brain tissue itself. First up is something called photobiomodulation, or PBM. I know it sounds super complex, but the idea is actually pretty simple. You use specific wavelengths of light, usually from a helmet, that can actually penetrate your skull and reach damaged brain tissue.
This light acts like a charger for injured brain cells, giving them energy and calming down all that harmful inflammation.
And we're not talking about just any light. The science has zeroed in on the exact wavelength of near-infrared light that works best, 1064 nanometers. That's the magic number for getting through the skull and kicking off that healing process at the cellular level. It's incredibly precise. For physical recovery, there are these amazing non-invasive brain-computer interfaces. So you wear a cap that reads your brain's intention to move, say your arm. The instant it reads that signal, it triggers a robotic exoskeleton to help you complete the movement. This creates this really clever feedback loop that basically tricks your brain into rebuilding those broken pathways way faster than you could with physical therapy alone. But of course, the real holy grail here is biological repair. And we are getting so close. Clinical trials with these specially modified stem cells called SP623 have shown that they can significantly improve motor function for people with chronic TBI, even if the injury happened years and years ago. That's huge. The big challenge now is just making those stem cells even better. And there's this brand new technique where they wrap the cells in a tiny graphene nanopatch. This lets scientists actually guide the stem cells to become new neurons instead of just forming scar tissue. And the results? They speak for themselves. Without the patch, about 16% of the cells become neurons. With it, that number shoots up to 41%. Okay, so let's pull back and look at the big picture here. When you see all of these advances, not as separate little breakthroughs, but as one connected toolkit, you realize we have absolutely entered a new era, an era of genuine hope and active intervention for TBI.
This table really says it all. I mean, look at the difference. We've gone from follow my finger to an objective blood test, from vague labels like mild or severe to a precise CBI-M profile, from just rest and physical therapy to active photobiomodulation and BCIs, and from just hoping for the best with natural scarring to actively guiding stem cells to repair the brain. It's a whole new world.
And you know, the best part is, some of this isn't just in a lab anymore. It's becoming accessible. If you or someone you know is at risk of losing their speech, you can use the personal voice feature on a lot of smartphones right now to create a digital backup of your voice. And those non-invasive PBM devices, they're starting to come to the market for home use. The future is really getting here fast. So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. As these technologies just get better and better, we're approaching a really fascinating horizon. If we can command avatars with our minds and literally guide our brains to regrow, where do we draw the line between repair and, well, enhancement? It's something to think about.